Gotta turn off the freaking fans. Hey everybody, it's Emma Winchester here, and today we are going to be talking about Breyerfest 2018 and the survival guide, due to what I think is important to know about Breyerfest, which is not what everybody thinks. So, disclaimer, it is not everything to know about Breyerfest. It is the survival guide as I have experienced through the past 5 years of me going to Breyerfest, and last year even volunteering. So not everything's included. I believe the only two things that I really don't touch on are the live show, because I've never live showed at Breyerfest, nor have I ever live showed, period, so I'm probably not the one to ask about that. And also the seminars and the workshops, because I've also never done any of those. And I also don't think I talk about the diorama contest either. I've never entered that. I'm not the person to talk to about that either. But everything else I talk about. So without further ado, let's jump on into this. So first things first, let's talk about Breyerfest as a whole just for a second before we get into the main point of this video, which is talking about the horse park and what to do there and tips and tricks about different things that go on there. So basically, Breyerfest is a 3-day event hosted by the company Brier, who makes all these lovely models that are behind me. Or most of them. Some of them are Peter Stones. Don't get confused. But basically, Breyerfest is that 3-day event. It goes from mostly, as far as I know, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've never heard of it being any other days. I could be wrong. Then again, I've only been 5 years, so I really don't know. And it's normally a weekend in Kentucky. A weekend in July in Kentucky. It's in Lexington, Kentucky at the Lexington, Kentucky Horse Park, which is awesome, and it's the best, and I love Breyerfest and everything to do with Breyerfest. So it's normally, I think last year, I don't remember the dates for last year all of a sudden, but I'll insert the poster from last year with the dates right now, and then the new dates for next year, 2018, right here. So you guys can see those, because I don't remember all of a sudden. But enough about Breyerfest as a whole. Let's get started and talk about basically what to expect at the park itself. So the park and the Clarion are completely two separate things. Brier doesn't have as much of a hand in what goes on at the Clarion as it does at the horse park. Brier does run certain events out of the Clarion, but most of what they do is at the horse park. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Ninja Pit of Death, which I think a lot of collectors at this point know what that is, but I just wanted to touch on it for anybody new that doesn't really know, or just put my spin on what I think of the Ninja Pit and what I think is important to know. So basically, the Ninja Pit of Death, or the End Pod, is when a bunch of people wait all night to get in line to go into the horse park. The line is not in the horse park. It is on the gates on the outside in the parking lot. So people wait all night to go into the horse park as soon as it opens to get in line for the Brier Store. Brier hands out numbers to the first odd amount of people. I want to say it's probably around 500. It could be less than that, to go into the Brier Store first. And then everybody else, I believe it's just you get in when you get in. So yeah. But basically it is a madhouse, and it's gotten to the point where I know that the riding police, or the mounted police rather, are the ones that lead the people into the park at this point because of how crazy it is. Not to say that all collectors are crazy, I'm just saying that that event is pretty nuts. And then, so basically last year, I know that people started lining up for the End Pod around 6 o'clock p.m. on Thursday. And like I said before, Breyerfest is Friday through Sunday. So a lot of collectors do get their Thursday, but it's crazy to think that they're waiting in line all night Thursday, like from 6, like dinner time, all the way until the next morning. And the horse park doesn't open until I believe 9, so it's a really long time to wait. But one thing that's really important to know, if you have the first special run time of Breyerfest, which I believe is Friday at 11, I could be wrong, it's either 11 or 10, you do not have to wait in the Ninja Pit of Death line. You're not going in with general admissions. There is a completely separate line with a separate little sign that says special run line. So you're going to go on to the other side, and I believe if you're looking at the main gate, it is on the right. So you're going to go there and you'll wait there, and you'll get to go in at the same time as the people who are at the beginning of the Brier line, because you have to get to your special run time at a certain time and all that good stuff, and you're not going into that line. So Brier is really generous in letting the special run time go in. And then the last thing I wanted to say is I just wanted to reiterate that it is absolutely insane. Like, so many people turn out for this Ninja Pit that it's just crazy. And for the past couple of years, there hasn't really been any good finds in the Ninja Pit itself. I think Brier is starting to do that to discourage people coming in so early. I mean, you can find test models and different things like that in the Brier Store, and that is why people wait in the Ninja Pit of Death line in the first place. But it just seems that the further we get away from the start of the Ninja Pit, the less test models and just different things we've been seeing, and I really do firmly believe that it's to discourage collectors from doing that, because I can only imagine how the horse park feels about having people sleep on their lawn all night to get into a Brier event. So that is all of that stuff about the Ninja Pit. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the Brier Store. Now, the Brier Store is a huge part of Breyerfest. It is where you can find the store specials and other models and t-shirts like this, which I got last year, or not last year, this year, at the Breyerfest store, and things like that. So basically it's a big part of the arena that is blocked off, that runs parallel to the special run line, which we'll talk about later. And basically you wait in a tent where there's like guide bars for the line, and you get to go in waves of about like 30 to 25 people, it depends. And you go in and it's just a huge store, so it's got tons of new in-box models. If you get there early enough on Friday, like not Ninja Pit of Death time quite, but like a little bit after that, sometimes you can find bubble wrapped special runs from previous years. But recently Brier has been selling all of their leftovers online right after Breyerfest, so I'm not exactly sure if that's still true. A question that I feel like a lot of people ask and a lot of first timers ask is it really worth it to go to the Brier Store? And my answer to you would be yes, within reason. If you really, really, really want the store special, then it's worth it to go. Like, I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for not buying Repeat the Beat at Breyerfest 2017. I was there, I could have got her, but I didn't, and I should have. Although I did get 2 nice Peter Stones instead, so I guess there's an upside to that. But you should go if you want to get the store specials. Buying them secondhand, people like to raise the price because of the time and effort they put into getting the model, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have the opportunity to get the model in hand yourself at Breyerfest, that is the cheapest you will ever see it until they get older. So do it. Also, if the line's really short and there's not too many people, it's always worth a shot just to go in and see. Like I said, they have tons of t-shirts and tumblers from years before and other things like that. Just different apparel items, and a lot of it's really cool. I got this shirt, which says I'll stop collecting when I'm dead, and then I got another one that says I love my models more than most people, which is 100% me. So there is upsides to going into the store. So next part of that is, do the store specials run out when they're out? And the answer to that is yes and no. So basically what Brier does, and it is true, Brier does 100% do this. I looked into it last year as a volunteer just to see, because I was always curious if it was true. Brier takes the model, so for example, we'll just talk about Repeat the Beat because she was a past Breyerfest 2017 Breyerfest store special. So basically what happens is they will have that model and they will have a certain amount. I think she was a run of 1,000 something, some odd number. They will take that number and they will cut it into 3 days. And once it's gone on Friday, it's gone on Friday. But it'll be there Saturday. And same goes for Sunday. So know if you go in and you are looking to get a store special, it will not be 100% gone for all of Breyerfest if it's Friday and it's not there. It'll be there Saturday. You just have to make sure you get there at a good time to get it. But when I went into the Brier Store myself last year, there were so many Repeat the Beats left. So, and that was later in the day on Saturday. So you just kind of got to feel it out and figure it out. Friday is definitely not the day to do this store specials if you're not willing to wait in excruciatingly long lines. Same goes for the Brier Bazaar, I think is what it was called last year, or the Brier pop-up tent, which is the stuff like the glass, the crystals and other things like that. It's basically the same thing as the Brier Store. That's why I've lumped them together. Basically what you do for that is you wait in a really long line too, and it's not like an actual store you go into. It's like a little U shape that you walk in and pick up what you want, and then you buy it there. And so that's like the stablemate of Breyerfest that they normally have and things like that. And I think the classics are in there, and normally the animal store special is in there too. So like Olay for this year was in there. Good place to check out too. Line's always incredibly long for that though, so just be aware. And then prices in the Brier Store as new in box models. So basically Brier is selling their stuff at their retail price. So most of the time you're not going to find your Briers in there for a bargain price. You're going to find them there for prices that you would see on the Brier website, or you would see at home on like retailers online and stuff like that, like different things along those lines. So, I mean, prices aren't awful. I think I got my Constellation back in 2014, and I think I got her for like 70 or something like that, and I think I got my Sunny for 55. So I mean, they're not awful prices, but they're again not the best either. They just are new in box models straight from Brier, which is a plus to buying like used models. So the last thing I want to talk about in regards to the store specials and the store itself is the rules. There are some really interesting rules that take place with the store, but that's alright, I guess. So one thing that I do know that is a rule apparently was I was trying to film in the Brier Store with Crystal Moon Warrior, and I was told there would be no flash photography or photography in general in the Brier Store, which I don't understand why, but there apparently is no cameras allowed. You're also not allowed to take bags into the Breyerfest store, which is not a new thing, but it is something that to keep in mind, because they don't like bags in there. I think that they allow camera bags. I'm not 100% positive, but I just know that you're not really supposed to bring in like really big bags and stuff like that, because I guess they're afraid people are going to steal models, which I don't really know how you would be able to pull that off. There's a lot of people around. And then the last part of that is I know that there is a rule against buying more than one store special sometimes. I'm not sure if it's like a constant rule, but I know at least last year I noticed that Repeat the Beat, you were only allowed to purchase one per transaction. So I guess it's like one per person per like trip in the Brier Store. So it's a lot like special runs along those lines, but that's about all I have for the Brier Store and the Brier Bazaar. Okay, so the next part of Breyerfest that we need to talk about is the special run line in itself. So something you need to know, disclaimer before we start, to get into the special run line, you have to have purchased a 3-day Breyerfest ticket. So you have to have one of the buttons, and there's 2 different colors. They're normally one child, one adult, and you get a special run ticket with that as well. And it'll have a number on one side, and it'll have the time, like Saturday 10 to 11, printed on the ticket, so you'll know when you have to go to the line. But basically how it works is it's a huge line right next to the store Brier Store line. And it's in like a big white tent. And so what you do is you get into that tent and you kind of just wait around for a little while. So basically then our Brier employee is going to come to the tent and they're going to pull a number out of a hat. So it's going to be anywhere from, I think, like 500s to 1. And they'll pick the number out and you'll get in line and with that number in the very front. So say they pulled like 243. 243 would be in the front, and it would be 243 through 250 would be in the very beginning of the line. So there would be a sign. It's a big white sign that says 250. So then so forth and so on. For every 50 there would be like the 250, and there would be 200, and then there would be like all of that number situation. So 243 is in the front, which means 242 is the very last person in line, which really stinks. So it's luck of the draw. Sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you don't, but not to worry. No matter what, you will get something. Wait in line. Do not get out of line. I learned that this year the hard way. Well, not really the hard way. I learned that this year. So basically, just a little tidbit and a little story from my experience with Breyerfest was this year I had a special run time, and I think it was Friday, and it was right after I got done volunteering, so I went straight over to the line, and they pulled my number, and well, they didn't pull my number, they pulled the number, and I think I had like number 8, and the number was like 300 or something like that. 310 or 210 or something like that, and it really stunk. I was all the way in the back, obviously not as far back as the number after the one that they pulled, but I was really, really far back, and I was talking to a couple of the other people I was with, and I was like, oh, not sure what's going to happen. But then we started to talk more and more and figured out that a lot of people get out of line. If they don't get up to the front fast enough, they just don't think it's worth waiting. Not only that, but they don't think they're going to get anything, which isn't true. Don't get out of line. It's worth it to stay in line to at least see what is there, because you can always buy something and then resell it, and then or trade it or get something different that you wanted that somebody else can't get. So there's always that option. And I was in the back of the line, like I said, and I still got a Bollywood surprise last year. Like one of the last people in line. And there was still, I think, 2 boxes of Bollywoods left for that time slot of that special run, which is insane. So the other thing about special run that you need to know is it's a lot like the Brier Store in the fact that the models are restocked every single day and every single special run time. And once those models are gone during that special run time, they're gone. So, for example, this guy at Breyerfest this year was a very, very hot topic. And so being in line when I got my Bollywood, but he wasn't left. So I didn't get him the first time around, which was sad. So once they're gone for that special run time, they're gone. And you're just going to have to try again and see for the next special run time that you have who is still there, or you might have to buy them secondhand for a little bit more expensive if you really want them that bad. It's just kind of the way it works. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I know a lot of people that come home without special runs that they were looking for. It's just, it kind of stinks, but it's kind of worth it too. So there's that. And then also one more thing that's really important about the special runs is you cannot buy 2 of the same model. So like with store specials, which I don't think I touched on, but I'll touch on now, you can only buy 1. So like for the store special Repeat the Beat this year, you could only buy 1. 1 per person, per day, per visit, like per transaction type of thing. So you can't get 2 surprise models when you go through the special run line. You have to get 1. Same goes with her, or him rather. You could only get 1 Vahana. You couldn't get 2. Same goes for any other ones. It's just the way it is, and it's to make it fair so everybody gets a chance to be able to come in and get them. So instead of 2 models being gone every time somebody goes through, only 1 of each model is possibly gone. And you can only buy 2 special runs with every special run ticket you get. It's not like you go in there and you can buy 6 special runs. You can only buy 2. So it kind of limits to what you can get. But it is really fair, and it's a great way to make sure that everybody has an equal chance to get these horses. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is ticket models. Ticket models are really easy subject, and it makes a lot of sense. So basically, with ticket models, you have your 3-day tickets and you have your single-day tickets, and you're going to either be able to get a traditional model with a ticket for 3-day, or you're going to be able to get a single-day stablemate of your choice as long as supplies last of your choice. So there is those pros and cons. One thing I know about single-day tickets now that I didn't know, that I learned last year, which I think is important to know, is Brier really likes to give them as sets. So if you have like 6 or 7 single-day tickets, they're going to want you to get a whole set and then get a couple different other ones. And a whole set is 4. There's 4 single-day stablemates. So they would want you to get 1 of each and then the 2 extras of whatever you wanted. They don't want you to come in and be like, all right, I'm going to get 4 of this one, 2 of this one, and nothing of the rest. So I don't know if it's a necessary rule that they can't give out multiples of one model to the same person. I'm not 100% positive, so that's something to look into for me and for you. And then with the celebration model, just single day tickets are always good to get the first day you're there, because it's at the help desk, which is right when you walk through the park, through the main gates. There's like a long entryway, and then it's like right there before you see anything else. So it's always good to get those first and have a bag to carry them in. And then your celebration model, it's a hit or a miss, because on Friday the ticket line is so long. It's almost just as long as waiting in line for the store or anything like that. So it's honestly not worth it to go Friday. And I know a lot of people want to go Friday, because even I want to go get it Friday. But I normally wait until Saturday, and the ticket line itself is a lot shorter on Saturday than Friday. You can wait 5 minutes on Saturday or 5 hours on Friday. It's just like, obviously it's not actually 5 hours, but it's a while sometimes. Alright guys, that's all I have for part 1 of my Breyerfest survival guide. Keep a lookout for part 2, which is going to be about what goes on in the arena and things along those lines. And then there will be another part coming out shortly after that, which will talk about just overall tricks and different things that I have learned about the park itself and doing things at the park. And then there will be another video which will be about everything that goes on at the Clarion, and then there will be another one about all the tips and tricks of the Clarion. And then I think if I have leftover information, which right now I do, it's going to all go into one last collective video of just overall Breyerfest knowledge that didn't really seem fit to put in the scripts of any of these videos, because it's just really random information. Also, if there is anything I missed, it will be included in that video, so keep a lookout for that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!